I want to start with a number today. 58 million.
Wow.
That is how many users a company called Blue Mountain Arts got in about 2 months.
Which is just, I mean, that's insane.
It is absolutely insane. And here's the kicker. They did it with a zero advertising budget.
Nothing.
No Super Bowl ads, no billboards, no radio spots, just physics.
Exactly. The physics of an idea.
We are diving deep into Seth Godin's absolute classic, Unleashing the Ideavirus. And honestly, reading through it again, it feels like someone handed me the blueprints to the internet.
Before the internet was even fully built, it really does.
Yeah.
And what's so fascinating is that he wrote this, in the early digital age, but the principles are actually more relevant now than they were back then.
We're living in the world he predicted.
We really are.
So let's set the stage a little. Godin opens with this huge historical sweep.
Yeah.
He basically says, look, the way we make money, the way we build value has fundamentally shifted.
Right. He breaks it down into 3 eras. First, you had the age of the farm.
Simple enough.
If you could grow more corn than your neighbor, you won. It was all about resources. Then, for the last 100 years or so, we lived in the age of the factory.
Industrial Revolution.
Exactly. Who can build the most widgets the fastest? If you owned the means of production, the factory, you controlled everything. But Godin argues the factory is dead.
Or at least it's a commodity.
It's a commodity. Anyone can build one now. So we are in the 3rd era, the age of the idea merchant.
The idea merchant. I love that term.
It's great, right? It implies that the real value isn't in the thing you make. It's in the idea behind the thing.
So the ability to spread a concept is more valuable than being able to manufacture a product.
That's the whole game now.
But here's the problem, and I think everyone listening feels this. The old way of getting ideas out there is just, it's broken. Godin calls it interruption marketing.
Yes. It's the entire 20th century model. Advertisers just believe they have the right to interrupt you.
Constantly.
You're watching TV, here's a commercial, you're eating dinner, here's a cold call.
And we hated it.
We tolerated it. We had no choice. But now, it's just noise. Godin calls it clutter. And our brains have adapted. We've developed a kind of immunity to interruption.
You don't even see banner ads anymore. You just mentally delete them.
I literally pay streaming services just so they won't talk to me.
Exactly. That's the immunity in action. So if you can't yell at people anymore, what do? This is where the Ideavirus comes in.
Right.
So let's define this. What is the actual difference between an Ideavirus and, just a really kitschy marketing campaign?
The difference is direction.
Direction.
Yeah. Traditional marketing is a company yelling at a consumer.
One way.
An Ideavirus is when you create an environment where consumers start marketing to each other.
Okay, that's the key shift. You aren't the sales force. Your customers are.
Precisely. And it's not just word of mouth. I think we really need to clarify that because people use those terms interchangeably.
And Godin says they're very, very different things.
They are.
Yeah, I always just assumed viral marketing was digital word of mouth. But he says word of mouth is, well, it's flimsy.
It's analog. Think about it. You go to a great restaurant. You tell me, hey, the pasta was amazing. I say, cool. Maybe I tell my sister.
But the message degrades.
It fades. It's like a ripple in a pond. Eventually, the water just goes still. It dies out.
It doesn't have legs.
Right. An Ideavirus is digitally augmented. It has 2 things. Velocity meaning speed and persistence.
It doesn't die.
It doesn't die. Instead of fading, it scales geometrically. It gets bigger and faster the more it spreads. It's an explosion, not a ripple.
Okay, so if we want to build an explosion, we need to understand the chemistry. Godin breaks down the anatomy of the virus, and it all starts with the manifesto.
The manifesto, that's the payload. It's the idea itself.
And we shouldn't get hung up on the word manifesto. It doesn't have to be political.
Not at all. A manifesto can be a book, sure, but it can be a song. It can be a design.
The example that really stuck with me was the vegetable peeler, the OXO peeler.
Oh, a classic example. Before OXO, peelers were just these cheap, rusty metal things that hurt your hand.
Often.
Then OXO comes out with this big, chunky, rubberized black handle.
And that handle was the manifesto.
Yes. The product itself was screaming a message. There's a better, more comfortable way to do this. You didn't need a brochure.
You just picked it up and you knew.
The manifesto was baked right into the medium.
And the medium is just the carrier, right? The format.
Right. Email, an object, a video. But for a virus to really take off, it needs the right environment. And this is where Godin talks about the vacuum.
An Ideavirus adores a vacuum.
Yeah.
I love that line.
It's such a simple concept, but so powerful. It's just infinitely easier to spread an idea in a space where no dominant idea already exists.
If people don't have an opinion on something yet, they are wide open to infection.
Totally.
And there's a cautionary tale here that I think is so important, the Audi story.
Yeah.
Because a virus can also kill you.
Oh, absolutely. This was back in the 80s. 60 Minutes, which you have to remember at the time was like the voice of God in American media.
It was everything.
It was everything. They aired a report claiming Audi cars were accelerating on their own, just taking off and crashing.
The panic must have been immediate.
It was hysteria. But here's the critical point. Most Americans didn't really know anything about Audi. There was a vacuum of information.
They were just that other German car.
Exactly. So the vacuum was wide open. And when 60 Minutes aired that report, this negative idea, Audi cars are killers, it just rushed in to fill that vacuum.
And it became the instant truth.
Because there was nothing else there to block it. And Audi's reaction was, I mean, talk about bringing a knife to a gunfight.
What do?
They tried to bring an engineer to a viral fight. They released technical data. They said, actually, if you look at the pedal placement, drivers are just stepping on the wrong pedal.
Which, to be fair, might have been true.
It was true. But it didn't matter. You cannot fight an emotional virus with a technical manual. The virus had already filled the vacuum. Godin says their only chance would have been to fill it with a different experience. Put an Audi in every mall. Let people drive them.
Let them feel how safe it was.
Yes. But they stayed silent, and the virus nearly destroyed their brand.
So lesson learned. If there's a vacuum around your brand, fill it before someone else does.
Or a negative rumor fills it for you.
Okay, so we have the manifesto, the idea, we have the vacuum, the opportunity. Now we need the carriers.
Yeah.
The people. Godin calls them sneezers.
I love this terminology. A sneezer is someone who spreads the virus. But, and this is a really important distinction, not all sneezers are created equal.
He uses the Paul Revere example, which I thought I knew, but I totally missed the other guy.
Poor William Dawes.
Right. History just completely forgot him.
So the story goes, British troops are marching, 2 men ride out to warn everyone. Paul Revere rides north, William Dawes rides south. They are carrying the exact same manifesto.
Same message. The British are coming. Same urgency.
Yep. But Paul Revere started a revolution. Militias formed, bells rang, people woke up. William Dawes, he knocked on doors, and people probably just said, "Who are you?" and went back to sleep.
Why? What was the difference?
Revere was a connector. He was a powerful sneezer. He was in all the clubs. He knew the community leaders. He knew exactly which doors to knock on for maximum effect. He had social capital.
And Dawes was just a guy, a loner.
A loner. So the lesson is, you don't just need people. You need the right people. You need the Paul Reveres.
And Godin puts these sneezers into 2 buckets, right? Promiscuous and powerful?
Promiscuous sneezers and powerful sneezers. And promiscuous here is an economic term.
Okay.
A promiscuous sneezer is someone who can be bought. They're motivated by a reward. Refer a friend, get $5. Share this link, get a discount.
Ah, so the affiliate marketer. The influencer who will promote anything if the check clears.
Exactly. And they can be useful. They give you volume. But they have a huge credibility problem. If I know you're getting paid to tell me about something, I take it with a massive grain of salt.
The trust is low. Then you have the powerful sneezers.
The Paul Reveres, the opinion leaders. You cannot buy these people. You can't pay Oprah to like your book. She has to actually like it.
And that's why her recommendation can move markets.
Because she has nothing to gain financially. Her currency is status and trust. She sneezes because it makes her look cool or smart or helpful.
But there's a paradox here that he talks about, the sellout paradox.
Yes. The moment a powerful sneezer accepts money to sneeze, the moment they take a sponsorship for something they don't truly love, they instantly become promiscuous.
And they lose all their power.
They lose their power. We see this happen all the time. An influencer builds huge trust, then they start shilling some terrible mobile game, and suddenly their audience just turns on them.
And the virus stops spreading.
Yeah.
Because the trust has been corrupted.
The medium is corrupted.
So if you're the idea merchant, you have to decide. Do I pay the promiscuous for quick volume, or do I do the hard work of earning the trust of the powerful?
That's the strategic choice. And it leads us right into the mechanics of this, what Godin calls the physis of the spread.
This is where the math comes in. And I want to spend a minute here because this is where companies usually screw it up.
It comes down to 2 variables, velocity and smoothness.
Smoothness. I love that word for business.
It asks a really simple question. How hard is it for your sneezer to sneeze? If I have to spend 10 minutes explaining your complicated product to my friend, the friction is too high.
The virus dies right there.
It dies.
We mentioned Blue Mountain Arts, but the ultimate example of smoothness has to be Hotmail.
The holy grail. I mean, think about the late 90s. Email was kind of nerdy. You had to pay for it. Then comes Hotmail. Free, web-based. But they didn't run ads.
So what do they do?
They just added a little PS at the bottom of every single email sent by a user.
Get your private free email from Hotmail.
That is zero friction. The user didn't have to decide to market the product. They just used it. And every time they hit send, they were sneezing the virus to someone else.
The product was the marketing.
And because it was just a link, the recipient could click it and sign up instantly. That is smoothness.
Okay, let's look at the math now, because Godin drops some numbers that are, frankly, terrifying. He talks about the magic number and the brick wall.
Let's use his example. Imagine you start a digital greeting card service. You start with 10 people. They each send cards to 10 friends.
Okay, so that's 100 exposures.
Right. Now we have a conversion rate. What percentage of those people who get the card then decide to send one themselves? Let's say it's 50%.
So 50 new people start sending cards.
And they send to 10 people each, and 50% of them sign up. If you run that math, it's a geometric explosion. You go from 10 users to millions. It's an epidemic.
Okay, 50% is the magic number.
But watch what happens if that conversion rate drops to, say, 30%.
It doesn't sound like a huge drop, 50 down to 30.
It sounds minor, but in an exponential system, it is fatal. At 30%, the virus doesn't just grow slower, it hits a brick wall.
It stops.
It stops growing entirely and eventually dies out. You might max out at 10,000 users, and then you just flatline.
That is wild. The difference between becoming Facebook and becoming a failed startup is just a tiny percentage in conversion.
A tiny percentage. And that's why smoothness is so important. If you make it just slightly harder to sign up, if you add one extra field to a form, you might drop your conversion from 50% to 30%, and you've just killed your company.
You've strangled the virus.
You have. It's a winner-take-all game.
Okay, that's the scary part. So let's talk about the solution. Godin outlines some specific tactics. We've touched on Hotmail, which is strategy 1, go full viral.
Right. That's when using the product creates the virus. The VW Beetle is another great example. Or fashion. If you wear a logo on your chest, you're a walking billboard.
You are sneezing the brand just by walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Strategy 2 is pay the promiscuous. This is the Amazon Associates model.
Which was revolutionary. Amazon realized we can't buy ads on every website. It's too expensive. So they said, hey, you have a blog about gardening. You link to our gardening books. If someone buys, we give you a cut.
It's completely risk-free for Amazon.
Totally. In traditional marketing, you pay for the ad whether it works or not. With the affiliate model, Amazon only pays when a sale actually happens.
They turned the entire internet into their commission sales force.
That's exactly what they did.
There was another example of this I loved. Referrals.com and the bounty system for hiring.
Oh, this is so clever. So headhunters charge a fortune, right? $20,000 to find a software engineer. The bounty model says we'll put up a $4,000 reward for anyone who finds us this engineer.
So you turn everyone into a headhunter.
You incentivize the promiscuous sneezers. Suddenly, I'm looking through my contacts thinking, hey, my cousin writes code. I could make $4,000. You activate the entire network.
Okay, strategy 3 is about the powerful sneezers. Make it smooth for the powerful.
This is subtle, but so important. Powerful sneezers. The experts, the thought leaders, they're busy. They want to share good things, but they won't work hard to do it.
This is where the email this article to a friend button came from, right?
It seems so basic now, but sites like Fast Company pioneered this. They realized their articles were the manifesto. If a CEO reads a great article, she wants to share it with her team. If she has to copy-paste the link, she might not.
But if you give her a button,
she clicks. You remove the friction for the most important people in your network.
Strategy 4 is my favorite because it's pure psychology. Altruism.
The Le Nomade restaurant example.
Yes. Tell us about the velvet rope.
So this chef in Chicago opens a restaurant, Le Nomade, but he makes it a private club. You can't just make a reservation. You have to be a member.
Which immediately creates a vacuum.
A mystery.
Right, but then he tells the members, you can bring your friends. In fact, you can sponsor your friends to get in.
So why is that an Ideavirus? Because the member isn't sneezing to get a discount. They aren't doing it for money. They're doing it because it makes them look cool.
It's a flex.
It's a total flex. Oh, you can't get a table. Let me call my guy. It makes the sneezer feel powerful and generous. That is an incredibly strong emotional engine.
So the marketing doesn't feel like marketing. It feels like a favor.
Exactly. And that is the ultimate idea virus, when spreading the idea adds value to the spreader, not just the company.
I want to wrap up with a concept he mentions that brings us back to that terrifying math. Zipf's law.
Zipf's law, yeah. It's a principle you see everywhere, from linguistics to economics. Basically, the number one item in any category gets exponentially more attention than number 2 and vastly more than number 10.
The Mona Lisa effect.
Exactly. Why do people crowd around the Mona Lisa and ignore the masterpiece painting right next to it? Because the Mona Lisa is famous for being famous.
So in an idea virus world, there's no participation trophy.
No. It's a winner-take-all dynamic. You either hit that magic conversion rate, trigger the epidemic and become the standard, or you hit the brick wall and vanish.
There is very little middle ground.
Almost none.
That is immense pressure. But Godin flips it and calls it an opportunity.
He does. He calls out the reader, or in our case, the listener, as a nerd.
I resemble that remark.
He means it as the highest compliment. You are the early adopter, the person seeking this information out. And he leaves us with a challenge. Are you building a factory? Are you still trying to just buy attention? Or are you building an idea virus?
Are you building something that moves on its own?
Because if your idea isn't spreading while you sleep, you are losing to someone whose idea is. That's the reality of the connected world.
It's a sobering thought, but it's also really exciting. We have the tools. We just need the right manifesto.
And enough smoothness to let it fly.
Well, this has been a masterclass. Thank you for unpacking this one.
Always a pleasure.
And for everyone listening, I want to leave you with a little homework. Don't worry, it's easy. I want you to look at your own behavior this week. What was the last thing you seized? What product or show or idea did you tell 3 people about? And then ask yourself, why? Did you do it for a reward? Or did you do it because it made you look smart or helpful or cool? Analyze your own sneezing, and you might just find the blueprint for your own idea virus. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.